Brought to you by Dubois Productions. Hello and welcome back to NO and JB's Sports Pedigree. We are back to provide insight on a wide variety of sports topics from NFL to Major League Baseball, NBA hoops, Champions League soccer, anywhere in between. And as you know, our goal is not only to give you perspective and real honest opinion, but we are going to have fun while we do it. And maybe most importantly, we want you to have fun right along with us. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dig right in. I'm JB.
And I am 50% of the show's cast, the NO.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, JB?
What's happening? How we doing this week?
I'm doing good. Ready to jump back in at NO and JB Sports Pedigree. And JB, you know how we've been doing every couple of weeks in terms of spewing out our top fives, man. Right?
Yes.
Here we finally to the other side of the infield, JB,
Yes.
and it's time for our top five third baseman of all times.
Third baseman, the hot corner. And let me tell you, to be honest with you, I want to say this may have been the easiest one for me. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
why do you feel that way, sir?
I don't know. I feel like these guys really, there's a big gap, in my personal opinion, from the top five to, say, everybody else. Now, there's a couple of guys that I could make an argument for, but, you know, more often than not, when I do these top fives, I kind of look through the top 10, 20, and, you know, for the most part, there's a little bit of back and forth with who I'm going to end up with. And this one, it was like, I looked at it first glance. I'm like, no, these are my guys.
JB, go ahead and kick it
All
off
right,
then,
I'm going to kick it off. So
I'm excited.
Third base, like I said, hot corner, probably an underrated defensive position. And my number 5 third baseman of all time, you can make pretty easy argument that he may be the best defensive player at his position for any position of all time. We're talking about the human vacuum cleaner, Brooks Robinson.
Okay.
6'2", 190-pound guy. He played with Baltimore from 1955 to 1977. Not the most prolific hitter. 267 all-time batting average. 1,357 runs driven in. But again, and let me just say this. More often than not, I'm not gonna put so much value on one aspect of the game. For instance, I didn't have Ozzie Smith on my top 5 shortstops. However, Brooks Robinson brought enough to the table for me offensively, and the fact that he won 16 straight Gold Gloves.
Oh my gosh.
Really just, I couldn't leave him off. He had 11 seasons of 150 or more hits, 6 20-plus home run seasons, 5 30-plus double seasons. He did win an MVP as well, 15 straight All-Star games. And although he probably has the lowest OPS of anybody on any of my lists, you know, just a solid, I mean, this guy was, you plug him in and you know exactly what you're going to get every time. Again, having the MVP really allowed me to feel confident about putting him number 5.
No doubt, JB, and that is an excellent choice at number 5. He was just outside of my top 5, JB. I think you could probably say I went with a little recency bias with my number 5 player. He just kind of snuck in for me just because of what I've seen him do. We're talking about Adrian Beltre.
I knew it. When you said recency, I had a feeling.
Yeah, he finished second in the MVP voting in 2004, JB. You know, that was his peak season where he batted .334, 48 bombs, 121 RBIs, 819 career slugging percentage. You know, obviously he wasn't the defensive player that Brooks Robinson was, and it was one of those situations where I was going back and forth between the two, and I just couldn't leave Adrian out. You know, one of 4 players with 3,000 hits, 400 home runs, and 5 Gold Gloves. So he was a solid defensive player, just not at that level. You know, not the 15, 16 Gold Gloves level. He had 5. You know, he was only a 4-time All-Star, which was very surprising to me considering, you know, what he did for all of those years playing in the National League and American League. You know, got his number retired by the Texas Rangers, 4-time Silver Slugger. Obviously was the NL home run leader during that 2004 season. And, he's known for just being an outgoing character on the field. He's always, communicating and really liking everybody around him. 477 career home runs. So he was just off that 500 home run list. Very charitable guy, doing a lot of things out in the community. And Adrian Beltre, my number 5 third baseman of all time.
Man, you make a great argument for him. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I can't fault
you. Can't really argue either way. Yeah, you can't really argue either way.
All right. So moving on, my number 4 third baseman all time is Eddie Matthews.
Okay.
Going back again, it's a bit old school, but 6'1", 190-pound guy. Played from 52 to 68. Career 271 hitter. Decent. 512 home runs for his career. 1,453 ribbies. He led the league in homers twice. He scored 100 runs 8 times. 150 hits 6 times. 20 home runs or more 14 times. And he had over 40 bombs in a season, 4 different occasions. He actually had an 1,000 OPS 3 different seasons. And he had an MVP-like year in 1953, which would rival anyone else on this list's best year, where he hit .302 with 47 homers and 135 RBIs in 1953 and somehow didn't win the MVP.
Wow.
Career 885 OPS. So very rare for me to have somebody on my top 5 that actually didn't have an MVP, but because of stats like that, I could not leave him off. He's just an all-time great power-hitting third baseman, Eddie Matthews.
Yeah, he's a really good one, JB. Just another one that was just outside of my list, and I will say that my number 4 player had an MVP. So let me say this, JB. My number 4, 3, and 2, I had such a hard time distinguishing between those 3 guys, man. It's such a hard time. I feel like I switched them all back and forth for a bunch of different reasons.
All right.
I'm going to try to lay out those reasons. My number 4 third baseman of all time is the Atlanta Brave, Chipper Jones.
Okay.
Who was a certified slugger in Atlanta from 1993 to 2012. We're talking about a dude who in his rookie year, his official rookie year was 1995. He had 23 bombs and 81 RBI. So he came on the scene like saying, okay, I'm that guy, right? I'm that dude, and it was all uphill from there, JB. 14 plus seasons of 20 home runs or more, obviously. 5 of which he went above 30, and he had the 45 bomb year during his 1999 MVP season. 99 NL MVP, Chipper Jones. He was a beast, and his career OPS was 930.
Crazy.
That rivals, when we think back to when we did Mike Piazza, who was a little bit above, 1,000. 930 for a career OPS, And we're talking about somebody who helped lead the Braves to that 1995 World Series. And he was the MLB. This is probably my favorite stat about him, JB. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
He was the MLB batting champ at age 36, 364.
That's crazy.
He bat 364 at age 36, a career 303 batting average, 468 home runs, 1,623 RBIs. Chipper Jones, number 4 on my list, JB.
Chipper Jones. Hey, you can't go wrong there. All right, my number 3 third baseman of all time. And I'm like you. I went back and forth a little bit with some of these rankings positionally. Number 3 third baseman for me all time is George Brett.
Yes, sir.
George Brett was 6 foot, 185, a little smaller, actually. Played from 73 to 93 with the Royals. He's in the 3,000 hit club, 3154. Career 305 batter, 317 homers, 1,596 ribbies. So he got the job done. Also, 201 steals for his career. So he could run a little bit. He led the league in hits 3 times, doubles once, triples 3 times. He had a 20 triple season. 20 triples in a season. Yeah.
Man, what?
Yeah. And then I think 14 and 15 or something like that. Led the league in batting 3 times, on base percentage once, slugging 3 times, and OPS 3 times. He scored over 100 runs 4 times, over 150 hits 11 times, over 30 doubles 14 times, just a doubles machine, and did have over 20 home runs 8 different times. Hit over 300 11 different times, and had a 1,000 OPS 3 different times, while hitting 100 ribbies 4 times. He won 3 Silver Sluggers. MVP year, he hit 390. It's crazy. His career playoffs.
You almost made me pass. You almost made me pass out.
Yeah, I was say his career playoffs batting average is 367 with 1,023 OPS, and his career OPS 857, which is nothing to sneeze at. So, for all those reasons and many more, you got to watch George Brett. He was an all-time great, just effort guy. Number 3 all-time for me.
George Brett was insane. And JB, I'm gonna go ahead and say my number 3 and number 2 because we do have a crossover right here.
Okay.
My number 3 third baseman of all time. And when I looked at these two guys, they were almost interchangeable to me. Number 3 for me is Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs,
5-time AL batting champion who finished his career with a 320. Listen, y'all, he finished his career with a 328 batting average.
He did.
Never a power hitter, right? With the exception being 1987, I think he was in the 20s in home runs, but he stayed on base even without any MVP. It was hard to not put him higher on the list because not only having 15 seasons above 300, but 6 seasons at and above 350 batting average, over 415 on base percentage and 858 OPS, 8-time Silver Slugger Award. Wade Boggs just did whatever it took to get on base. Man, this dude was an insane player. Taller, 6'2" guy. You know what I mean? And he was just a monster. Moving on, JB, because like I was telling you, these guys that, like when I viewed their stats and just like looked at their style of playing, kind of remembering like what I remember of them, Wade Boggs and George Brett. That's why George Brett was my number 2 player. I know he was 3 on your list, but I mean, not a whole lot to add. But when you think about a 390 season, JB, this dude really, I mean, that was his MVP season. He almost hit 400.
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, he almost hit the unprecedented 400. 24 home runs, 118 RBIs during that year. JB, he actually nearly won MVP again in 1985. And, the greatest Kansas City Royal of all time. Played for him from 1973 to 1993. So we got Wade Boggs at 3 and George Brett at 2 on my list. Right. JB, what you got? You might as well go 2 and 1, JB.
Yeah, all right. That works. Wade, along with Adrian Beltre, they were the guys that I had the toughest amount of time leaving off my list. Wade would just, he would just slap the ball off the green monster. That dude. That's all he would do. All right, my number 2 is your number 4, actually. Chippa Jones is my number 2 third baseman of all time.
Let's
do it.
A little
bigger dude, 6'4", 210. Talk about going recent. This guy was the most recent on my list.
Of course.
You mentioned a lot. I'll throw some additional stuff in there to kind of add to why I have him even higher on my list. He led the league in hitting once, on-base percentage once, OPS once. He scored 100 runs 8 different times, 150-plus hits 10 times, over 100 RBIs 9 times, over 300 batting 10 times, over 30 doubles 10 times. And probably the biggest stat, the biggest reason for me, because you know how much I value OPS. As you mentioned, his career OPS 930, he had over 1,000 OPS 5 different times.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the most so far of all the positions that we've done. That's the most of anybody, I believe.
I didn't even realize that. That's incredible.
So just the consistency. And going into this, I started out with him. He wasn't as high as this, but I couldn't deny it because of that. Now, he didn't win any gold gloves, but that's a bit because of the bias with Scott Rowland. You know what I mean? And Scott Rowland would just almost automatically get it. And Chipper could pick it over there. There's no denying. He was probably overlooked a few times when it comes to his defense. So again, for me, all-time number 2 is Chipper. I'm willing to bet we've got the same number 1 yet again.
Who you got, JB?
You want to throw them out there together? A little 3, 2.
Well, but let's see. Let's just in case we don't have the same person, JB. Who?
Number 1 third baseman of all time is Mike Schmidt.
Of course, we have the same person, JB.
I was like, I don't know who else you gonna be having up there. So
of course, we have the same.
The
person.
mustache, man.
Yes, sir.
6'2", 195 from 72 to 89 with the Phillies. Not as high on the batting. This guy's a slugger. And
it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah, the more you look at it, like he's the epitome of if you're creating an all-time lineup, like number 5 lineup guy. This is the dude. 548 career homers, nearly 1,600 ribbies, batted .267. He led the league in home runs 8 times,
yes,
RBIs 4 times, on base percentage 3 times, which means he may not always had the best batting average, but he got on base because he had a good eye. Led the league in slugging 5 times and OPS 5 times and walks 4 times. I know I'm stealing some of your thunder here, but he scored 100 runs 7 times, 150 plus hits 6 times. 13 times in his career did he hit more than 30 home runs.
Goodness gracious.
Drove in 100 RBIs 10 times. Over 1,000 OPS twice. And the guy won how many MVPs, 3 MVPs. So that means, you add up all the other guys on my list and they have the same as Mike did.
Yeah, JB. Did you say his 10 times winning the Gold Glove?
I did, and I was trying to leave you some stuff to say.
Yeah, I appreciate that, JB. And 548 career home runs. Man, this dude got it done on both sides of the ball, man. And like you said, man, the way you alluded to his kind of lower, batting average for somebody that we would have at number 1 on the list, but also recognizing his on-base percentage, he had an excellent eye. Like, it really didn't matter. Like, which leads me to believe his low batting average was just because he hit it to the wrong spot sometimes. I'm picturing Mike Schmidt crushing the ball straight at the shortstop,
right,
straight at the outfielder. You know what I mean? That's what I'm picturing in my mind, right? So, what an incredible player, man. Number 1 on both of our lists. We usually get the number 1 player the same.
We had
a couple differences on our list, but pretty much, we probably both had the same top 7, 8 third baseman.
You know what though, for real, if you think about it, we had a different difference with pitcher, but catcher, first base, shortstop, third base, all the same, and we really had the same top 2 with second base. So I have a feeling as we move forward, we may have a little more discrepancies with the outfield just because of the amount of excellence there.
Definitely.
Yeah, we on the same page. I did not mention that I took the liberty, and I was so impressed that from 1974 to 1987, you can really consider that to be Mike Schmidt's prime. That's a span of 14 years. You take out 1 year, which was, I believe, a strike-shortened year. So really 13 seasons for his prime. He averaged 36 home runs and 106 RBIs a season. Pretty crazy. 908 career OPS. So there we have it. Rounding out the infield.
Shout out to Mike Schmidt, man. Getting it done on the diamond. Now let's go to that